Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I'm your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 243 of the show, and before we get started, we're just going to do a little bit of house cleaning quick around here, because, well, it only makes sense if we do it, so let's get on with the house cleaning, because we haven't done an episode in a week. So, I do want to thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time out of your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or not, or my opinions or not. At the end of the day, it's greatly appreciated because the feedback is greatly appreciated. And as a result, I greatly appreciate all of you guys. So thank you for all your love and support. It's really appreciated. I know we have not done an episode in a week, and that was for good reason. Well, I wanted to make sure that everyone, got to enjoy their holidays. So happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday, especially because last week, essentially for this past weekend, for those of us in America that celebrate Christmas, it was obviously Christmas weekend. The 24th was Saturday, 25th was Sunday. So I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. I hope everyone had just, some time to relax. And to me, a lot of stuff happened. And to be honest, I was like, well, let's take the week off. Let's enjoy the holidays, have a little bit of fun and really prepare for this episode, which in this case, we're nearing the end of the year now. And there's definitely a lot of things to look back on. And that's essentially the whole point of today's episode is we're essentially doing a recap of my favorite pieces of tech that have come out this year. And I think I'm going to make this a trend going forward that we're going to do, the normal tech conversation, talking about some of my favorite pieces of tech that have come out throughout this year, and then do a real talk, just talking about my own personal stuff and just having a conversation with that stuff. So this is going to be the normal episode where we more about tech and goodies and stuff like that. And then you'll see a real talk probably soon, basically just going over that stuff. But for now, let's talk about my favorite pieces of tech that come out this year, because let's be honest here, there has been a lot of pieces of tech that have piqued my interest that I've gotten the chance to whether use firsthand or things that piqued my interest in general. And I want to talk about some of those things. And what do I want to start with? Because there's definitely a good amount. I think a good place to start would be a piece of technology that I've been using very frequently, especially for the show, and that's the DJI microphone. If you're not familiar with this is a wireless lavalier set, and I know some of the stuff most of you guys are probably going to care about, some of you guys will not care about it, but to me, this wireless lavalier microphone set does address a lot of the issues that I had, especially seeing stuff with the Rode Wireless Go and the Rode Wireless Go 2, that this microphone set really fit my use case and what I wanted out of a microphone set. And especially for the price, obviously it was a lot more competitive in comparison to, say, the Wireless 2, where it was competing in that similar price point, but obviously offered some different features, pros and cons with both. And this is something that I've gotten to use extensively because I've obviously used it for the show and some work here and there. But I think overall the build quality of these microphones is incredible. The connectivity function about them, the fact that, they are a bit power hungry. So as a result, you have to use a little bit more nicer lavalier microphones, which is why I'm using the Shure MVL clip-on microphones, which these are arguably some of my favorite lavalier microphones I've gotten to use, especially for around $70. And overall, this lavalier set, I'll be honest, is definitely not that cheap. It's definitely a more prosumer piece of gear. It's about like $330, $50 or something like that. And it's definitely not for everyone. I think for people that are looking for a more well, if you're looking for a wireless lavalier set, then yes, you have options like looking at this or even the Wireless Go 2, or looking at something a little bit more professional that has more stability, that doesn't use the 2.4 gigahertz signal. I still think the local recording function, the ease of accessing these files, and just the level of control that is on the remote and things like that, I think overall this is my favorite microphone that I've gotten to use this year, and I'm very appreciative that I've had the opportunity to even get it. But switching a little bit from video gear, there has been some actual like pieces of technology, like us, because obviously this is a piece of tech, like it is, but there has been some other stuff that has definitely piqued my interest this year. And one of these, well, is not, okay, I'll say it like this. It's not shocking that it's going to be on here. We're talking about the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, when it came out last year and things like that, when it was announced and things like that, for me, it was like, yes, this is something that I want to support. I've always liked the form factor, especially something like the Switch. Yes, at first I was a little bit worried because I'm like, hey, this thing is kind of a behemoth. And seeing some early pictures and things like that, I'm like, okay, this thing is probably going to be pretty big. But seeing the power, and that's mainly what I cared about, was the power, the performance, and really what you're getting as an overall package in terms of build quality, software support, obviously access to the Steam library and things like that. And then even for pushing Linux a lot further, especially when it comes to gaming and pushing it more in the mainstream and the limelight, I think it was a really crazy thing that managed to work. And, well, it worked. And so far, it has been one of my favorite pieces of tech. Granted, I haven't been able to use it so much due to school and just other things going on. And whenever I've gotten the chance to just sit down, use it, whether it be for emulation or even going through a lot of my back catalog on Steam, it's been a very pleasant experience. I've loved using this handheld because I ended up going for the 512 gigabyte model. I was like, look, we're going to go bigger. We're going home. And for me, it has definitely been one of those pieces of technology that is just, I love it. It's one of those things where it's just, man, this thing is great, like, to say the least. Granted, is it for everyone? No. I do think for the people that don't own a PC and for the people that love the form factor of the Switch but just want something maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more powerful, able to do a little bit more, I think this is a great device for them, especially if you just want it as your one-stop shop for everything, because you obviously can play your PC games. You obviously can do emulation to a very high degree. At the same time, you can use it as as a PC if you want to do work and things like that, because it obviously runs on Linux and it has a full operating suite inside of it. I think overall, the package that the Steam Deck offers is very good, personally. I think, to me, it makes a lot of logical sense for a very specific consumer, and I think that if this is a product that interests you personally, I think you should consider it heavily. And to me, I've loved this thing to absolute death and back. And talking about emulators, because we're on the subject, let's talk about something I've gotten a little bit recently, and it's the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. So if you're not familiar with the handheld, market in terms of emulators and Retroid consoles, the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus was originally a recently released device by Retroid, or Retroid Pocket in this case. And this device is kind of the reason that, I'd say its main reason for being in my collection, if you would say, or my primary rotation, is due to the fact that, well, my Steam Deck is pretty big and I obviously can't carry it everywhere. So the fact that I can have a portable emulator to play, say, my Game Boy games, or play like some consoles like Sega Genesis, Sega CD, NES, SNES, and things like that. Like consoles that are a little bit easier to emulate but are fun to take on the go, like my DS games and things like that. To me, it has been a great experience, and I think for the price point that it sits at, because I got it for, I think, around $150, obviously shipping, taxes, and things like that, because I paid a little bit extra for shipping, so it comes a little bit faster. But the experience that I've had using it has been phenomenal. The build quality is great. The color I went with, I actually went with the 16-bit of the SNES that was released overseas. So it was called the because it was called the SNES here in America, and I'm like, my brain's literally farting of what it's called overseas. But essentially, I got that color, and I love it to death. Obviously, I put my emulators. There's tons of videos online talking about this dang thing, and I think overall it's a great little piece of hardware. Granted, again, it's not for everyone. I do think that if you're interested in the portable emulation scene and just having your games on the go and preserving that physical collection that you have, yeah, I think it's something you can look into personally. But moving on from that stuff, let's talk a little bit about mobile stuff, and primarily whether it be smartphones, headphones, earbuds, and talking about some of those things. For me, one of the things that I wasn't planning on getting this year, to be honest, and fully transparent, I was planning on getting this during my internship in this coming summer in 2023, and that was probably going to be my main big purchase, but due to some circumstances, I was able to get it a lot earlier, and it's probably one of my favorite devices that Apple has made this year, and it's the Apple Watch Ultra. The Apple Watch Ultra, for me, as you guys are familiar, I'm very big on my personal fitness, and I'm very big on running, long endurance cardio, and so obviously I kill my Apple Watch, well, pretty fast, to be transparent with you. So the fact that I can have a watch with an incredible battery life, that I can easily do my workouts and get 2 days out of it and still have like 30 to 40% left on it, is incredible. To be honest with you, the build quality on this thing is amazing. Obviously, the precision tracking and things like that for my workouts, my runs, more detailed in terms of like location, my steps, and things like that. Like, to me, this watch is definitely really good. I appreciate the better battery life too, especially in comparison to some of the Apple Watches, because that's always been one of the biggest, I'd say, knocks people have had on the Apple Watch, is the fact that its battery life is pretty doo-doo dog water. Like, yeah, you can easily get a day, but people kind of want maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days out of it. If you can, by some miracle of God, pull out like 5 days or something, then I don't know what you're doing, but you're insane. But the Apple Watch Ultra, I do not think it's for everyone. Clearly, it is not for everyone. It is a very expensive product. And the fact that I was able to get it thanks to like my new carrier that I'm using and things like that, I am very appreciated. I'm very grateful for the deal that they were able to give me and things like that. But transitioning onto that, because there's also two other things that I've been able to get because of this stuff. And it's my two smartphones. I'd say my two smartphones that I'm currently using in my rotation and that are going to be my smartphones going forward. And that is going to be my iPhone of choice and obviously my Android phone of choice. And my iPhone of choice, I actually went with the 14 Plus. And you guys are probably thinking, what the heck? Why the 14 Plus? Why not just get the 14 Pro Max? And there are a couple reasons why. One, obviously, in terms of battery life, that is the one thing I care about the most when it comes to my smartphone, is just having great battery life. The 14 Plus objectively has better battery life than the Pro Max. At the same time, as much as I like the idea of the dynamic island and the 48 megapixel sensor and things like that, it's just the dynamic island, based on what I'm seeing, there's a lot of big issues with it that a lot of people just aren't talking about, and you start noticing users are talking about, yeah, it's a gimmick, it's very buggy, it's something that's still annoying. It's just like they kind of hype it up as like this super big revolutionary thing. It's really not, and it's just kind of annoying and in your face a lot. And at the same time, there's been a lot of issues with the Pro Max that has been well documented by a lot of consumers nowadays that obviously people aren't talking about because they're just jerking off the 14 Pro Max is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But the fact that the 14 Plus is still a big phone, great battery life, to me, having 60 hertz is not a big issue due to the fact that, one, on iOS, 60 hertz is very buttery smooth. It doesn't hurt my eyes. That doesn't make me want to vomit. But there's also another reason why, and it's my other phone that I have on me, and it's the Pixel 7 Pro. To me, I've always been a very big fan of Pixels. For people that know, like, I've always mentioned how one of my favorite phones ever made was the Pixel 2 XL, and I had it in the Panda color, and even if I would get like another phone or something, I would always just sell the other phone and just go straight back to my Pixel, because my Pixel was just such a fun experience. So being able to own a Pixel again and use a lot of those Google software features and access to that great camera, especially with the camera on the 7 Pro, which I've been able to take a lot of great snapshots recently, and they've just been stunning, like the detail and obviously getting in there and, using my experience in photography and things like that, being able to edit and do a lot of my tweaks here and there, especially with that bigger sensor and just getting that more detail has been a very fun experience, to be honest. The battery life has been great. Obviously, the camera experience has been great. The software experience, very buttery smooth. The 20 hertz, 120 hertz display. All of this stuff is just, personally, Google hit it out of the park with the 7 Pro. Yes, I do agree with the whole idea, the value proposition, that it makes more sense to get the 7 instead of the 7 Pro. But to me, I've just been a bigger fan of having bigger phones, and having that telephoto lens has been very good, especially because I've been using a lot more telephoto as well. And so having both of those in my rotation, especially because I actually have a SIM card in both of these, so my Pixel 7 Pro has my other number. Obviously, my iPhone has my primary for everything, since that is obviously my main platform right now because of my Apple Watch, my iPad, my iPhone, and this is actually kind of segueing perfectly into headphones and earbuds. And, well, it doesn't surprise me that the AirPods Gen 2 are going to be on this list due to the fact that, one, my Gen 1s started to crap the bed, so, well, I had to get the Gen 2s. And I think overall I've enjoyed the battery life more on my Gen 2s, because that's obviously the main improvements is battery life, and then subtle tweaks to the sound profile and things like that. And obviously like some better features like the Find My, and essentially having an AirTag built into the sucker in the case specifically. So a lot of these things, while you can consider minor and I wouldn't say it's worth the upgrade. Personally, I only think you should upgrade if your thing is dying and you don't have a warranty to replace it and things like that. Yeah, I think if that's what's happening, I think it's worth looking into them and then looking on deals, say on Amazon and things like that, to get a better deal. But I've also have the privilege of getting to see some other pieces of technology that have come out with another brand, and this is coming from Soundcore. Obviously, if you guys know Soundcore, they are, Anker's brand for audio products, and they've always made great products personally. Like the Liberty 3 Pros are very popular, and this year they have made 3 great products that I highly recommend. One of them is the Q45. This is their noise cancellation headset, or headphones in this case, and these suckers to me are incredibly comfortable, very lightweight, great sound quality, especially if you EQ it, because some people tend to realize that, hey, there's a reason why you can have an EQ, because, well, EQs are designed to help increase the sound quality, or in this case, the sound profile, and tune it to your liking so you can get a better sound out of them, or at least in this case, a sound that you prefer, since we've acknowledged that sound is very subjective. The battery life on these suckers are great. Like, the fact that it has LDAC, AAC, all the good codecs and stuff like that, like all this jargon that you guys are probably like, what the hell is he talking about? But I think these headphones, especially for what the price I got them at, because normally they sit around like the $150, $160 mark, but then I think it was like there was a discount going on that they were for $100, but then they gave you another $50 off them, so I got them for like $60, and I'm like, for that price, they are incredible value. I'm like, yes, I love these headphones. I've been using them, especially on my Pixel, like, because I can use LDAC on Android, and obviously on my iPhone and stuff, they still sound great too, because they use AAC for low latency. And then some of the other products that have come out too, primarily 2 pairs of earbuds that have been very great to me, would be the Liberty 4s that have come out. Obviously, I've been a bigger fan or proponent of stem earbuds over buds personally. They're just more comfortable in my ears. The Liberty 4s, with the sound quality and the battery life on them, have been very great. I've appreciated them, and just having that other pair is just really nice as well. But at the same time, the P10, this is the VR P10. These are specifically designed for my Meta Quest, and primarily the main sticking point is the fact that they have that super low latency adapter that you can hook up. It's a USB-C, so if you have anything that uses USB-C, you can just plug it in. It also has pass-through to create that low latency for gaming. And in terms of sound quality and comfort, they are extremely comfortable for me personally. I literally passed out with them in my ears. Like, I fell asleep. I was using them on my iPhone, just watching a YouTube video, and I just passed out like a baby. And they were wildly comfortable. The fact that I didn't even feel them in my ears, I'm like, And I tend to sleep on my side, so they didn't shove into my ears. They felt very comfortable. Obviously, they're RGB, so they look nice and pretty, but their case is really cool. It's like an eggshell case, but overall, it's definitely one of my favorite pieces of tech that have come out this year, personally. Like all of these earbuds and headset in this case, but there is one more headset I want to talk about before we switch on to some of the other, like, wrap up and talk about some of the other things. But the last headset I want to talk about, the Arctis Nova Pro Wireless. This sucker, I have been eagerly waiting for the refresh of the Arctis Pros, or the Arctis Pro Wireless in this case. One of my favorite headsets that I've never gotten to own, but I always wanted to own because of the simplicity of them, the sound quality on them, the comfort. Obviously, yes, the build quality has been called into question because some people have said that over time they do crack and break over the hinges. That is obviously one of the main things people were worried about with the Nova Pros, was using the same hinge design. But the fact that things like the noise canceling added on them, which personally I don't care. Granted, they're always on them. Like, I always have it on, but I just never realized it was on. But I'm like, hey, it's not that bad. They're wildly comfortable. For some people, if you have bigger ears, then just be mindful the pads, aren't going to give you enough, I would say, cushion or that much leeway room, because the noise canceling bud might end up hitting your eardrum. So just be mindful of that. But in terms of the build quality, the sound quality, and the connectivity, to me, it is arguably one of the best gaming headsets I've ever owned in terms of headsets in general, just sound quality wise, getting to use them on all my platforms, my PC, my PS5, my Xbox Series X. It's just a wildly great experience, and I've thoroughly enjoyed using them. Obviously, using them on my phone to connect to Discord because I can use Bluetooth at the same time. They have actively replaced my Virtuosos XT easily. Even though, yes, I still love the mic quality more on the Virtuoso more. That's just objective fact. It's a better microphone. I think in terms of quality, comfort, and, well, I say sound quality, comfort, and the ease of use, and also the fact that you can transfer everything over, so your EQs stay with the driver, well, with the headset, or in this case with the bass. Unlike my Corsairs, which if you don't have it on PC, then you can't EQ them and stuff like that. So, yeah. And the battery life is obviously much better because of the fact that you can just swap out the battery, put in the other one, start charging the other battery right away. It's just great headset. I love it to death. I think it's probably one of the best investments that I have made this year, personally speaking. Like, that's just me personally. And then just some other little things here and there. Like, I was able to get the, what was it called? The Sega the Sega Genesis Mini 2. I was able to get access to that sucker when it went on pre-order this year. I'm grateful that I have it. I actually have it, like, not on me right now, but obviously in my dorm room and things like that. It's just chilling over there. But I do want to talk about this other little controller. And I kind of want to end with it because it's just, there's a lot of stuff that I can talk about, like my monitors and other things. But I want to end on this little sucker, the 8BitDo Ultimate Wireless Controller. And to me, this is probably one of my favorite controllers going forward. And I'm a big sucker for good quality controllers. I bought the Elite Series 2 controller in 2019 for Christmas. It was my favorite controller. I literally would daily drive that thing all the time on my PC, my Xbox. That was the only controller I would ever touch. And then obviously the RB button broke after 2 years, so I was kind of pissed. And so I haven't really used it, even though everything else works perfectly fine. It's just the fact that that one button that's actually pretty useful and kind of needed for a lot of my games, yeah, it kind of sucks that I just haven't really been able to use it. But the 8BitDo Ultimate Wireless with the Hall-centric triggers and just in general 8BitDo as a brand, or 8BitDo, whatever you want to call it, 8BitDo, 8BitD, whatever you want to call it. Overall, the brand itself has made some great quality controllers, whether it be from the Pro 2 or their arcade stick that I bought also this year. And I love that thing, especially because for fighting games and things like that, it's very small, compact, but also very comfortable and very responsive. But the wireless, the Ultimate controller with the Hall triggers and everything like that has just been, it's just been awesome. I've loved using it. I obviously use it on my PC constantly with the 2.4 gigahertz adapter. obviously using it on my Switch and things like that, which my Switch has been getting a lot more use this year, like being transparent, especially because I have a new grip for it and everything, and the new grip with Hull triggers and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about Joy-Con drift and things like that. It's just, man, there's so many things that I could talk about, to be honest with you guys. But I just wanted to highlight some of the things that really stuck with me, and that I'm just blessed and grateful for the opportunities I even got to have some of these things. The fact that, to be honest, I know I don't deserve, but I'm just grateful that I've had the opportunity. And hey, let me know down below. I know that this episode is really just highlighting some of these pieces of tech that really just stuck out with me throughout the year, and that just, well, they really stuck with me, to say the least, because it's like, if I'm able to talk about them in detail and just really express how I feel about them, that should probably give the hint that, hey, this thing may be, well, pretty impactful, and in some levels, like, it is definitely a benefit to my life in some way or form and helping me out. And just, it's definitely, you're getting your money's worth. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Like, is there just a piece of tech that came out this year that you guys just feel the same way, that you're just like, look, I can talk about this thing all day, every day, and you just love using it to absolute death, and you just hope that you can get the most out of it until it, well, maybe gets cracked, whatever happens to it, because it's obviously going to fade into obscurity, or it's going to break, and that, it's just what happens, But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Obviously, I do want to say thank you guys for allowing me to have a piece of your day and a piece of your time, because I know I don't deserve all this stuff. I really don't deserve that you guys constantly come back and download those episodes, share them, you constantly keep letting me know how you feel. Like, I know I don't deserve it. I really, really don't. But I greatly appreciate that you guys allow me to just talk about this stuff, just have an open conversation about tech, business, the video game industry, or even just personal stuff, doing the real talks. At the end of the day, it is greatly appreciated, and I greatly appreciate all of you guys. And I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful week. I know that you guys will see me fairly soon, because obviously we're going to do a real talk to end off the year. I'm just highlighting a lot of the stuff that really this year brought, and whether it be highs, lows, and just talking about them and being open and being real with you. But I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye, guys. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.